I studied for a test thinking I was going to get in the 90s. Ended up getting a 60, and the teacher's name was Dr. Ali. Hi, my name is Prinon. I'm 31 years old. I'm a senior service advisor for Tesla Canada. Coming from a South Asian family, my parents always wanted me to pursue either medicine or engineering,
Of course.
something in that field, right? So obviously, as a kid, you want to make your parents happy, so you try to pursue those best of your ability. But when I got to college, that's when you kind of figure yourself out a little bit. You become a little bit more mature, and you know what you like, what you want to do, and what's realistic. And you follow those career paths. Yeah. So science would have been what I thought in high school that I would have pursued, but that's not what happened in the end. I did about 2.5 years in pure and applied towards organic chemistry. That's when I realized, not for me. So I told the teacher after I got my midterms back, that's going to be a no for me. She was very understanding. She told me, look, you could always, change career paths. There's always commerce since you're stronger in math. And that's what I ended up changing it to. So I studied commerce.
Okay.
So I lost about a year in CEGEP because I had to do the extra courses to make the prerequisites to get into business. Yeah.
And how did it go? Like, once you did that switch, did you know automatically that that's what you wanted to do, or like it took you a little bit of time?
No, not really. When I did the switch, I thought get a 9-to-5 job. I was kind of lost, to be honest with you. I didn't know where I was going in life.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never.
I went to an open house at John Molson, and there, I have to say, the marketing team at JSMB is very much on point about sales. So they sold me, a dream. The dream of JSMB, wearing, Tom Ford suits and, smelling like the Bay.
So not like JSMB today. Like,
I know.
Arrives in sweats and like.
I know, but when I went to the open house back then, that's what it was. I believe Suits was the popular show back then. So any kid coming from the background I came from would want that, right? Would want to be successful. So
can you tell me about your best experience during your college years?
My best experience was the introductory courses. Pretty much the group projects were always fun. You get to see how people really work. The group experience gives you kind of an idea how in the business world things might turn out. Someone might be extremely bright and do most of the work. Find out who's good at what. Some people are more creative. Some people are very good at writing. Some people are more vocal. The first couple of times it was pretty much, total mess when you're in a group project. You're trying to figure out who's going to do what. But towards the end, I kind of figured it out, so when we're in a group setting, we trying to figure out what they're good at.
And did you face a brick wall at some point during your college years, or a failure that you had to overcome?
In my head, accounting was easy, but it's not. There's a lot of memorization. There's a lot of understanding.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
So towards the end of the accounting courses, just passing the course was very much an achievement rather than going for a B-, right? So after, I would say, I spent 2.5 years at Concordia, I kind of figured things out because I'm a type of person very curious as to seeing what the bottom line is or how things really work. So I went ahead and I kind of looked in terms of what is the end result? What is the salary like? What is the lifestyle like working at these firms? I approached some people. I did my own digging too. I asked them personal questions. I said, hey, maybe how's life? Where do you live? They gave me the answers. It was very much normal answers, in my head, I realized that there's many roads to Rome, not just one, right? Sometimes John Molson, they give you the idea you need this degree with this CFA, with this CPA to go ahead and get that 6-figure salary. And I can tell you that's not the case, right?
Yeah.
Because working at Tesla, they pay very well, and I don't have a CFA or a CPA, so.
That's very encouraging.
The bottom line is most companies, their main concern is being profitable.
Yeah.
You don't have crazy expense accounts. Even a big company like Tesla, where pretty much all the car companies combined, we're as big as them. So even us, with all the funds we have, everything's very much tight, right? So you want to make sure that you're not leaking funds anywhere, you're not making any wrong decisions. Obviously, it's public money, right? This is money from the stock market. Want to be accountable for that.
Can you just explain to us what you do right now at Tesla? What's your role?
No problem. So I'm a senior service advisor at Tesla. So how Tesla works is that it's an automotive company, right? They also do side projects like Solar City, Tesla Energy, and their main role is to make sure that the transition to clean energy is as fast as possible. So right now, I would say Tesla is the iPhone of the car world. I work for Montreal Service Center. My role is pretty much take care of anything and everything. So the culture at Tesla is a little bit different than every company. You have to wear multiple hats. So you need to be able to understand how legal works. You need to understand how PR works. You need to understand how the company is going to look based on the decision you make, because we're not that many people at Tesla. The company expects you to pretty much represent the company at all times. What my task is make sure all the cars that come in for repairs or any kind of issues, whether it be manufacturing issues or technical issues, is to be pretty much the person that represents the company in front of the client, right? So the client wants to say, hey, I have an issue, can you explain this to me? So I explain it to him. If he disagrees and he wants to press legal, also put on the legal hat and say, okay, this is what the legal approach is, and come up with a solution, right? That's why I always use it's called problem solver. Because whatever the problem is, it could be someone is very much upset, they want to, get a compensation. So I would discuss that compensation with the client.
Is it more customer service oriented, or you do a lot of admin work as well?
I would say it's not really customer service oriented because we have a call center. My role is more in person. If the issue is very much unique, kind of manage that. I don't know, someone has an issue where the car just died on them, right? Rather than someone, that doesn't understand cars, explaining it to them, they'll show up. The technicians are going to fix the cars. And then if they want more detailed information, I would go ahead and then approach the client and say, hey, let's go into an office, let's sit down, I'll explain what happened.
When you applied at Tesla, at your interview, what were they looking for? Did they want that 4.0 GPA, or it was more your experience?
They did. Yeah, so they did ask about schooling. Tesla, as much as they say they don't look at schooling, schooling is something that they look at if you're going for something that has a little bit of a management, administrative side of things, especially negotiating. Schooling does play a big role because most of the guys in my team, they all have pretty much a little bit of university background. Some have finance, some have engineering. Some have years and years of just company experience. So they built up that experience that John Molson, let's say, gave me. During the interview, you have to be someone who's open to learning new things, right? So, and you have to be honest and transparent. You can't just say, I know how to code. I definitely know how to diag something without, I actually had this issue, believe it or not. With my first couple interviews, it didn't go wow because I realized, oh my God, I was too cocky. Because I was always look at videos. I would watch Jordan Belfort and his videos, Mr. Wolf of Wall Street, the real person. He sells himself, right? And he makes a lot of money doing so. You want to do the same, or you have to kind of copy him in the beginning, and then you kind of find yourself, who you are and what your specialty is. You have to be transparent. I was very transparent. I said, look, my skill sets that I bring to the table is I'm very good with making people understand something, communicating something, negotiating things. My strongest thing is negotiating. And I made a joke. I'm like, we're going to talk about it when we talk salary right after. You'll see. I'll give you a little taste of how that works. And then the manager found that extremely funny, right? She was like, wow, that's crazy. That's kind of bold to say that. You want to talk me, you want to see my negotiating skills? We'll talk about it right after.
Could you give a range of salary that the student could expect if they go into a field like yours?
So the automotive industry, salaries can vary anywhere from 50,000 to 160,000 to 200,000, depending on obviously the responsibilities, the hours of work, etc., etc. And that is just salary. And then you have stock options. Companies will give you an X amount of stocks when you start. And then it also depends on you, like I brought up before, you negotiated it. So real estate is my family business. So my dad's been in there since, I would say, the early 90s. He owns, I would say, close to 400 doors in Montreal. So growing up, I've seen him, how he ran things. So real estate, there's multiple things you can do in real estate. So one thing you can do is what you said, is you can purchase something at a very good price. If you're good with your hands, you renovate it, you sell it, you make a profit, right? Mm-hmm. Easy stuff. You buy for $100, you put $20, you sell for $200, you're making $80. The second option is you buy a property, you make sure the rent that comes out of it pays the mortgage, whether you're at zero, which is okay because you're not making any money because you have a regular job that supports yourself, or you can buy a property where the rents are low, you increase the rent, and then you make a profit after paying the mortgage, the tax, so forth and so on. So I chose the third option, which is not break even. I make a little bit of a profit from most of the properties I own. And from that money, I go ahead and I buy more properties. So when I got into real estate, people would always tell me like, oh my God, you know, how you're going to deal with number of complaints and doors. That's what I do at Tesla. So I deal with complaints a lot, right? So that's pretty much my job. You have to be very creative. So sometimes someone has an issue in one of the apartments, I can't address it right away. So I come up with a solution. I say, hey, is it something emergency? If so, solution one, you do it right away. I'll compensate half of it depending on what it is. If it makes sense. Solution two is you wait for me. I'll be there on the weekend. It'll be after 3 or after 5. And then you just give them appointments. You show up and you set the expectation. If it's something they broke, you know, it's kind of like cars, right? Sometimes people come in, they're like, oh, is it normal that the seat stopped moving? Yeah, if you drop chips or gum into the rails, yeah, it's normal. If you're not comfortable in, you know, the real estate world, I would say start small. Probably go with a duplex or a condo. Condo is the best training wheels. It will give you pretty much the kind of the feeling of what it is going to be like. You just have to take that experience, multiply it by 3, 4, 5, 6. Can you handle that? Are you able to manage that? If so, perfect. It's the right fit for you. I do it all with the help of my wife. She's working in marketing, so she has a little bit of extra time. Sometimes, you know, on weekends when she has her days off, she, you know, makes a couple of phone calls, sets up the appointments, and I go ahead and I do the actual in-person, hands-on kind of task. The one thing that's guaranteed that people will pay is the roof on top of their head, right? It's a need. If you look at the most successful companies in the world, they're all needs. Banking, real estate, electricity, water, toothpaste, toilet paper, I can go on. Real estate's simple. If someone has an issue, you know, depending on who broke or how it broke, you can come up with a solution, right? It's not as complicated. It's not much maintenance either because you're only dealing with a person once in the beginning of the month, right? It's not like retail where every day you have to keep your stores open, good customer service, multiple interactions, and the revenues are good. Overall, I mean, like, even if I'm not working at Tesla, my lifestyle right now, it's sustainable just with the real estate portion.
What practical advice would you give to someone who's interested in your field?
See, the thing with advice is that it's not a one size fits all, right? Sometimes my advice could be helpful to someone and it might not be helpful to others. Because some people, they'll be like, well, you know, your father comes from real estate, you know, so it's easier for you. But the thing is, his father doesn't, right? My father, his dad doesn't come from real estate. And I'll give the advice he always gives me is that everything is new to you until it's not anymore. Like, never be scared to enter something or feel like you're not good enough. Anything is possible. And Elon Musk wasn't a thing 10 years ago. No one knew who he was. He risked everything. And if you don't take a risk, you'll never find out if you make it. The only thing you'll lose is maybe your time, a little bit of money, but take the risk. And that's how you're gonna know if this is the right fit for you.
But thank you so much for your time. It was really, really interesting.
Si vous avez aimé ça, likez, partagez ou commentez. Sinon, pour plus de contenu, n'hésitez pas à nous suivre sur Facebook,